I feel like I can't log into social media without seeing someone wearing the brand DISSH, and so I thought that it would be the focus of this month's brand review. I hope that you guys enjoy this. If you haven't seen this format before, I will link some of the previous ones down in the description box. Also, please mind my voice. I have lost it. It's a little bit croaky. I've got a cup of tea here, which I'm hoping will help. I'm just gonna get started and talk through all the items that I have, talk about the quality, the fit, the wear and tear, if there's any other details that I think are worth mentioning, and then at the end, I'm gonna share some final thoughts. I wanted to start with linen, as I think this is something that the brand does really well. It's sort of one of their hero fabrics. What I like about their linen is that it is textured, but in a soft way. It is a nice medium weight, so it's not too thick and starchy, and it has a nice flow to it. It is 100% linen, and it's typically lined, especially for the white pieces. They are lined with rayon, so I do want to flag that, but the rayon has a very silky finish to it. This little set that I'm wearing is a crop top with matching skirt, bearing a little bit more skin than I normally would. I do find the top maybe has a little bit of extra give. I went for my usual size small in both pieces. I do like with the skirt, I can really fasten it to sit a bit higher on the waist if I like, and I still have that sweeping movement. It does have a really beautiful side slit as well, so even though it is more of a modest style, at least the skirt anyway, you do have this little peekaboo effect, which I think is very pretty. I do have a few more linen pieces, but the only other one I could find for this video is this linen dress that I bought while I was pregnant. I don't think they do this style anymore. I will say that now that I'm no longer expecting and don't have a bump there, it doesn't really feel like it fits me that well across the chest. I was especially drawn to the palm print on it though. I think it's really pretty, and all of the details and finishes seem like they're very high quality. The seams all look to be really straight, and there's a lot of stitching on this piece. Still in the linen family, but this time a Tencel and linen blend, is this matching set. And I think if you go on their website, you'll find most of their items are designed to be worn as part of a set. I really like the color of this. It is a cream with a slight yellow tinge to it. Because it is Tencel, it has this very silky quality to it, which feels very nice and cool against the skin, and I find that it is very easy to launder as well. The top I did size up because they only had a 12 available, and I really like the way that it fits. It feels very effortless. The trousers were incredibly long, and I had to go and get them tailored, and now they're kind of the perfect length for me. So one to mention, if you're an especially tall girl, then you'll find that the trousers are a nice length. If you are petite, you are likely going to have to get them tailored or taken up. Perhaps my only bugbear with this fabric is that it can be a little bit difficult to iron sometimes. One of the items that I feel definitely deserves a bit more hype is their cotton and merino wool blend knits. This particular sweater also comes in a beige and white stripe, which is really nice, especially if you like your neutrals. I especially like the way that this looks tucked in. I think that it is a lot more flattering because it really defines the waist. I did size up to a medium, which I'm glad I did because I wanted it to be quite boxy and loose across the body. The sleeves on this are dramatically long, so if you don't like that, you're gonna hate this piece, but the quality of the fabric is really what sells it to me. It is really nice and soft, very plush, and really thick too. Next, we have one of their rib knit dresses, which again is a style of item that they tend to do really well and do a lot of. These are perfect if you are expecting because they have so much stretch. One thing to note is that the fabric composition is viscose and nylon, so unless you've opted for a sleeveless style, you're going to find that these are quite heavyweight for the warmer months. This one in particular has such a heft to it. The fabric is just so thick and weighty, so it's one that kind of feels like it weighs a ton when you're holding it. This is a personal thing, but I sometimes find these sorts of silhouettes aren't always the most flattering on me, but I do appreciate that this particular dress has a tie at the waist so that you can cinch it in a little bit more. The other detail I really like is the flared sleeves and also the raw edged hem, which kind of curls up ever so slightly. Onto an item that I wish I had selected in a different color. This is an oyster colored or off-white colored slip skirt. This is called the Bobbi Maxi. I really like the fact that it is elasticated at the waist. You will get some puckering there, but I feel like with the waist closure, you sort of expect it. The thing I like about this is that it does look like liquid metal, especially when you're moving. And for me, that is really quite an attractive quality in this skirt. The reason why I like this is that it reminded me of a Beckham Bridge skirt that I have, but I think the quality of this particular fabric, which is a viscose and rayon blend, is actually much nicer and it feels less delicate, which we love. One thing to mention is that it is razorly sheer, so even skin colored underwear can sometimes show through if you've not opted for the right style. You can really see this coming across with the white tee that I've paired with it. Now this is the Rowan Maxi skirt, and I think this sold out in 24 hours in all colors, and I can understand why, because maxi skirts seem to be having a bit of a moment. And there is some data that suggests that this is quite often tied to recession or when people are pulling back on the purse strings a little bit and not spending quite so much. So this one is a polyester, round and spandex blend, so it is fully synthetic. And for that reason, it's not one that I would reach for on a really hot day here in Sydney, because it completely encases your legs and then you feel very, very hot and sticky, which is quite an unpleasant experience. I do like the fact that this style has a slit at the back, but it is more of a winter item for me and would be great if you live somewhere particularly cold, because then you could also layer it with tights and you would be super toasty. I like that this also has these pinched seam details down the front. It just adds another little element of visual interest to the skirt. Next we have this short sleeve shirt and boxer short combination, another example of sets that DISSH do really well. I really like the shirt. It has these quite dramatic sleeves that flare out and have a lot of body to them, which I think makes it feel a little bit more interesting. The button detail is really nice because they are fabric covered buttons, and I like the detail on the shorts, how they scallop in at the sides slightly, and the elasticated waistband is really thick but very stretchy in a sturdy way but not in a firm way, so it makes them very comfortable to wear. The cotton does have a bit of stiffness to it, so it will retain its structure and shape. I have to admit that DISSH isn't the first place that I would think to go to for a basic t-shirt, but I really like their basic cotton crew neck tee. I like the fact that at the back it has this seam detail which just feels a little bit more elevated, but it's also quite subtle and something that you're not really going to notice unless you're standing behind the person wearing it. The weight of the cotton is quite nice, it's a medium weight and it does have a bit of heft to it again, so you can see from the cutaways that it does hold its own and hold its shape. It's also quite a good length too, so you could wear it with something that is low slung, but equally with something high-waisted as well. Then we have this wool and cashmere sweater, which is pretty soft actually, and the blend of the cashmere with the wool fibers helps to keep it feeling really nice and soft against the skin and not itchy at all. This is an unusual shape. You can see from the sleeves here that they're quite narrow around the top of the arm, and then they kind of flare out into a bell shape. So it almost feels a little bit 70s inspired. It's also quite long and quite boxy too. One that I find works a little bit better when worn loose as opposed to being worn tucked because of those two details. Again, another item that is very, very cozy and warm. I think if you have been considering DISSH's knitwear, just based on my experience, they are really quite nice jumpers. The final item that I have here is the Matilda coat in the bone color, and this is a wool and poly blend, and it feels quite reminiscent of my Manso Gabrielle coat, also my Kinder Salmon coat, but if I was choosing, I would select those two over this one, just because they do feel more premium, and coats are definitely somewhere where I tend to spend a little bit more money, or at least I'm quite happy to do so. This is technically a double-faced wool, except the double facing is polyester, so I did want to flag that. So this isn't going to be an ultra breathable piece, but it is going to be something that keeps you nice and warm. I think that the silhouette of it is really lovely, and if you are petite, then it's going to be a good floor sweeping or ankle grazing style for you. I really like how it looks worn belted, and the bone color of it is actually really nice. I often find that this particular color tends to lean quite pink, but in this instance it is actually more on the cooler side, which I appreciate as that works quite well with my coloring. So that is the try on portion. Now, when it comes to quality, my experience overall is that the quality that you're getting either is in line with the price that you're paying or it exceeds the price that you're paying, which is something I often look for when it comes to buying into a brand, and I really like that. That said, I have had some quality control issues. For example, I have a little linen mini skirt, which I put a photo of on screen, and the first time I put this in the washing machine, the lining tore, and I didn't have it on a particularly rough cycle. It was just quite a gentle one, and for me that was a little bit disappointing, as it means that now I need to take the time to repair it. Occasionally you will also find some loose seams on the items. These are something that are very easy to snip off and clearly have just been missed in the manufacturing process. I really like the brand's commitment and use of a lot of natural fibres. Generally across the board you'll find most pieces are made out of natural fibres, which is really lovely and I think part of their sustainability commitment. Now I hate to say it, but I do think there is a slight hint of fast fashion element to the brand. However, that said, I don't think that this is exclusive to DISSH, and it really does highlight how fast the fashion cycle tends to move these days, as a lot of brands tend to release a lot more clothing with more frequent drops throughout the year. If you live in Australia, shipping is very quick, usually will arrive to you within about 3 days. But yeah, that is sort of my thoughts, my little review on DISSH. I hope that you found this video useful and that it was helpful to get a sense of how the clothing looks on. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I do find that they typically run true to size across the board as well. If you have any other particular questions or if there was anything that I missed, please do let me know in the comment section below and I will see you next time with a brand new video. See you soon. Bye.